The wind whispered secrets as it weaved through the branches of the towering elder trees in the realm of Elarian. Here, magic was as breath, an unseen rhythm to which all life moved. But for Liora, a young herbalist gazing over the sprawling landscape from a rocky outcrop, it was the whispers of the glade that stirred her heart with curiosity. Dawn broke with a golden hue, casting flickering light upon the leaves that seemed to shimmer with untold stories. Liora brushed a lock of hair from her face, her eyes narrowing as she focused on the path before her, winding through the dense woodland into the sacred place few dared to tread. The glade was rumored to be a place where nature itself spoke, a mystical refuge protected by ancient spells. Only the bravest or the foolhardy ventured within, for the forest held secrets not willingly shared. As an herbalist, Liora had always felt a kinship with the plants and trees, her fingertips brushing softly over leaves and bark, feeling the pulse of life beneath. Today seemed different. The air tingled with an urgency she couldn't ignore. "Have you lost your wits, Liora?" came a voice, startling her from her reverie. It was a familiar voice, hearty and full of warmth. Brand, the village blacksmith and her dearest friend, emerged from behind a twisted oak. He had always been like the anchor to her wild dreams. "I feel a calling," Liora replied, her expression unwavering, a rare resolute spark in her normally gentle eyes. "There's something waiting for me in the glade, something I need to understand." Brand shifted uneasily, his sturdy frame casting a long shadow. "The glade is not safe. You know what they say about its powers, and the dangers. I have to go." Leora's voice was firm. She turned from the outcrop, her decision made. She could not afford to ignore the pull of the glade any longer. The whispers had found her, singing a melody that twisted her soul in a way she couldn't quite grasp. Brand sighed, stepping closer. "Then I will go with you. No sense letting you run headlong into trouble alone." The two friends began their journey, the path winding deeper into the heart of the forest. Each step seemed to bring with it a chorus of hushed voices, an orchestra of leaves murmuring secrets only the brave dared to uncover. And as they walked, Liora could feel the boundaries of her world shifting. Thus began an adventure that would test not only their courage, but also their understanding of magic itself. In the glade, destiny awaited, and with it, a truth that could alter the very fabric of Elarian. Little did they know, the journey into the Whispering Woods was only the beginning of unraveling the legacy hidden within the ancient songs of the trees. The sun's ascent painted the sky with hues of orange and amber, casting dappled light through the dense canopy, as Liora and Brand ventured deeper into the heart of the forest. The path they trod was ancient, its winding course marked by roots and stones that told tales of travelers long forgotten. "What do you hope to find?" Brand asked, breaking the serene silence that enveloped them. "Answers," Liora replied softly. The whispers of the glade had stirred something within her, an inexplicable yearning she struggled to define. She hoped that by reaching the glade, her questions would be met with clarity. But uncertainty gnawed at her resolve. The trees grew closer together, their branches entwined like old friends sharing age-old secrets. It wasn't long before they arrived at a more secluded, shadowy part of the forest, where light struggled to break through the dense foliage. A slight chill hung in the air, an omen causing Brand to eye their surroundings warily. Suddenly, a flutter of movement caught their attention. A small creature, cloak-like cataracts masking its opalescent eyes, hovered above the forest floor, watching them with an eerie stillness. "A wispkin," Brand whispered, not daring to move. The creature's delicate wings shimmered like moonlight on water. It was rare to see a wispkin, beings said to be messengers from the glade, straddling the line between worlds. "It's a sign," Liora said, awe tinting her voice. The wispkin tilted its head as if acknowledging her before flitting deeper into the trees, its glow a spectral beacon. Liora felt a surge of confidence. She had heard tales of these enigmatic creatures guiding the chosen to the heart of the glade. "We must follow," she insisted, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Brand hesitated, glancing around. "If we turn back now, no one would think any less of us." A gentle smile crossed Leora's lips as she stepped forward to follow the ethereal trail left by the wispkin. "But I would," she said simply, determination etched into her features. Realizing her resolve, Brand nodded and fell into step beside her. As they walked, trees whispered in ancient tongues, their rustling leaves creating a symphony that propelled them forward. Twilight descended upon the forest, and a soft glow began to peek through the shadows. Before them lay the Whispering Glade, a place where reality blurred with dreams. The Wispkin hovered near the entrance, its light flickering like a heartbeat, urging them onward into the unknown. With a solemn nod to Brand, Liora crossed the threshold, her spirit intertwined with the melodies of the mysterious realm. She could feel the pulse of the glade resonate with her own, their heartbeats merging in perfect harmony. Unbeknownst to them, eyes watched from beyond the veil. Forces stirred, awakened by their arrival. And as the whispers grew louder, Liora realized that what lay within the glade's embrace held the key to her destiny, and perhaps the fate of Elarian itself. Stepping into the glade was like breathing life anew. Liora's senses were heightened, colors more vivid, the very air tinged with the scent of blossoms in perpetual bloom. Strange yet beautiful flora adorned the clearing, each plant humming a tune just beyond the range of hearing. It was a realm where nature's magic thrived unhindered. "Can you feel it?" Liora asked, the air electric with energy. Her voice reverberated softly as if the glade itself were listening. Brand, awestruck, could only nod. The peace of the glade was something ephemeral yet profoundly welcoming. He glanced around, his eyes catching glimpses of creatures flitting through shafts of light at the edges of the clearing. Liora moved towards the heart of the glade, each step deliberate, as if drawn by an unseen force. Ahead, nestled amid a cluster of singing wildflowers, lay an ancient stone monolith marked with carvings that seemed to shift under her gaze. "It's beautiful," as she breathed, reaching out to touch the cool surface of the stone. As her fingers brushed its runes, a gentle hum pulsed through her, and the whispers, softer now as if conferring, surrounded her in a soothing embrace. "What does it say?" Brand asked, his curiosity piqued as he studied the carvings. Liora closed her eyes, letting the words flow through her like a song repeated in a dream. "It's a warning," she murmured, more to herself than to Brand. "And a promise, a reminder of a balance that once was, between life and the decay waiting to unravel it. Protection and destruction, forever entwined." A rustle caught their attention. Emerging from the verdant underbrush, a creature of otherworldly grace appeared, its form shimmering like a liquid mirror. It was a guardian of the glade, watching them with ancient eyes full of wisdom and caution. "Liora," the creature spoke, its voice clear and resonant like a bell chime. "You stand at the threshold of destiny. One who hears the whispers must now listen and understand." Liora found her voice, though it came out as a hesitant whisper. "What is it that I must understand?" The guardian's presence seemed to fill the entire glade, its energy intertwining with every life form present. "Within you lies a power that can either restore or doom," it intoned. "You must choose to embrace or deny it, but know that your choice will echo across Elarian." Brand stiffened, his protective instincts flaring alive at the mention of doom. "How can she trust herself with something so immense?" he demanded. The guardian's gaze settled on him with gentle reassurance. "Trust is like the seasons, changing and renewing. Liora is not without guidance. Here the whispers teach and remind. In them lies her guide." Liora felt the weight of the world settle on her shoulders, yet beneath it a flicker of hope bloomed. "I will learn," she promised herself and the guardian, her voice steady despite the whirlwind of fear and determination in her heart. As the caretaker of the glade faded into the ambient glow, Liora knew they had taken the first step in a journey fraught with peril and revelation. Every question answered seemed to only birth new mysteries, yet the resolve within her grew stronger. The choice, her choice, loomed ever closer. And little did she know, the path she embarked upon held trials that would test her to the very core of her spirit. Days passed in a blur of discovery and understanding. Liora immersed herself in the teachings of the glade, learning to decipher the song of the leaves, the language of the wind, and the hidden verses in every rustle. The magic of Elarian revealed itself to her, layer by intricate layer. Each morning she and Brand would rise with the dawn, making their way to the ancient stone, which now served as a focal point of learning. Brand, watchful and steadfast, listened intently to Liora as she shared what she learned, his respect for her determination growing each day. Despite the peace of their surroundings, Shadows of doubt occasionally clouded Leora's mind. Would she truly be strong enough to face the trials hinted at by the Whispers and the Guardian? "Do you ever wonder why it had to be you?" Brand asked one evening, as they sat by a small brook blushing pink from the setting sun. He had been mulling over his own thoughts, seeking to understand the tapestry in which they were entangled. "I do," Liora admitted, her gaze fixed on the reflective water. "But somehow it feels right. Every herb, every creature in this glade seems to recognize a part of me I have yet to fully embrace." Brand nodded thoughtfully. "I've always known you were special, but this—" He gestured to the forest imbued in twilight hues. "This is something else." Liora smiled softly, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I couldn't have done any of this without you, Brand. Your strength keeps me grounded when all I want to do is float away on the Whispers." Suddenly the ground shook beneath them, a tremor rippling through the earth like a warning bell. Alarmed, they sprang to their feet, eyes sweeping the clearing. "The balance," Liora murmured, pale with realization. "Something is disturbing it." Brand clenched his fists, determination and concern battling within his heart. "What should we do?" he asked, trusting her instinct. Leora's thoughts raced, reaching back to the teachings of the glade. "We must go further," she declared. "Into the deeper parts of the forest." The Whispers spoke of a darkness, a forgotten part of Elarian. It might be stirring. Brand did not question her resolve. Gathering their things, he followed her into the encroaching shadows, the path becoming ever more twisted and treacherous as they ventured beyond the familiar. The deeper they delved, the more intense the Whispers grew, merging into a chorus that guided Liora like a beacon. Though fear clawed at her heart, she pressed on, sensing the presence of the forgotten darkness close at hand. Unbeknownst to them, they were being watched. From the boughs of ancient trees, eyes flickered, and strange creatures stirred in the wake of Leora's journey towards a destiny that was now inexorably intertwined with the fate of their world. The path they took was one of no return, and with every step, the stakes grew higher as the mystery of the glade deepened further. The forest seemed to close in around them, the trees looming like silent sentinels under the glow of moonlight filtering through the canopy. Liora and Brand pressed on, guided by instinct, and the faint whispers that teased the edges of their awareness, urging them forward into uncharted shadows. Liora paused, a sudden tug in her heart halting her steps. She glanced at Brand, his face grim yet unwavering, and motioned for him to listen. The whispers were growing louder, a chorus of urgency that resonated with a pang of foreboding. "Am I the only one hearing this?" Brand asked, scanning the area with wary eyes. Liora shook her head. "The whispers, they're trying to tell us something. Something close." Then, through shifting branches, they caught sight of an anomaly, a place where the earth was twisted and gnarled, vines growing as if in turmoil, their normally serene forms unusually hostile. The air itself felt wrong here, chilled and stagnant. "What happened here?" Brand murmured, his hand resting on the hilt of the knife at his belt. Liora knelt next to the roots, touching a twisted vine. She could feel the distress, a pulsing pain emanating from the land itself. "I think this might be it," she said, a thread of fear weaving through her voice. "Whatever darkness is affecting the balance, it's starting here." As if in response to her words, a figure emerged from the tree line. Cloaked in shadows, its eyes flickered like embers under a twilight sky. It was neither wholly human nor beast, but an amalgam of forms, shifting and elusive. "This grove knows no strangers," it rasped, voice echoing with an ancient weariness and wisdom long forgotten. "Why have you come?" Liora rose, her curiosity outweighing her fear. "We seek to understand the disturbance," she replied clearly, meeting the figure's fiery gaze. "The balance is unraveling, and the glade has drawn us on this path." The figure tilted its head, considering her words. "The glade seeks to mend what was broken," it lamented, its voice tinged with a sadness that seemed to echo through the woods. "Here once stood a convergence of life and spirit, now poisoned by decay. Can it be undone? Brand asked, his eyes narrowing with determination. The figure hesitated, casting a glance towards Liora. Only if the heart of the glade beats strong again. Once, it was said that a guardian, blessed by the whispers, could restore what was lost. Perhaps that guardian stands before me now. Liora's breath caught in her throat at the implication. Yet there was a sureness within her, an understanding that this moment had always been meant. "What must I do?" she asked, resolve coloring her words. The figure smiled, a wraith-like gesture that did not reach its eyes. "To heal the rift, you must confront the shadow beyond light. Trust in the songs and whispers, for they alone know your path." With that, the figure melted back into the night, leaving Liora and Brand surrounded by the troubled forest once more. The task ahead was daunting, but it was a call to action that neither could ignore. As Liora turned to the deeper woods where darkness reigned, she knew that this could be their only chance to save Elarian. In their hearts, a transformation began, one forged in resolve and strength, and with it, a new branch of hope sprouted within the woven threads of destiny. The air grew heavier as Liora and Brand ventured deeper into the forest, each step echoing with the weight of their mission. The whispers guided them with subtle nudges, painting the path through the darkness with flecks of light only Liora could discern. "This place feels different," Brand remarked, his voice low. "Like it doesn't belong to the rest of the world." Liora nodded, sensing the same otherworldly quality. "It's as if the shadows have a life of their own," she agreed, a shiver tracing up her spine. Their journey led them to an ancient clearing, ringed with colossal stones that stood like silent guardians. In the center, a dark pool shimmered ominously, its surface unnaturally still and reflective. "Is this it?" Brand asked, his grip tightening around his knife. Liora moved towards the pool, feeling an irresistible pull. The whispers rose in a crescendo, urging her to peer into its depths. "I think this is where it all began," she whispered, her breath misting in the chill. As Liora gazed into the water, the reflections shifted, swirling with scenes from the past. She saw the forest as it once was, thriving, vibrant, a place of harmony. But then darkness seeped in, creeping like a relentless tide, its inexorable spread suffocating the life that once flourished. "We need to stop this." Her voice was firm, the courage in her heart taking root as deeply as any tree. The sound of movement drew their attention. Emerging from the cover of the stones, a figure cloaked in shadow approached. Unlike the previous guardian, this entity radiated malevolence, its presence a gnawing hunger that sent chills down Brand's spine. "Why do you seek to undo what is inevitable?" the shadowy figure rasped, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Liora stepped forward, unfazed. "We seek to restore the balance. You have no claim over this land." The figure laughed, a hollow, echoing sound. "Balance? It was broken long before you knew its meaning. This world teeters on the brink of transformation, and you are but a fleeting resistance." Brand moved to stand beside Liora. "Transformation doesn't have to mean destruction," he said, his voice a steady counterpoint to the entity's malice. The figure's gaze settled on Brand, fingers twitching as if reaching for something unseen. "Beware your defiance, blacksmith," it warned, "for the darkness claims all who oppose it." Liora felt an innate power stir within her, a connection forged through the whispers that had guided her thus far. She closed her eyes, focusing on the harmony she had learned to create, drawing strength from the glade. "Return from whence you came," she commanded, the force of her words rippling through the clearing. The shadows recoiled, shuddering under the power of the ancient magic infused within her. With a final, baleful glare, the figure dissolved into the night, its presence dissipating like mist in the morning sun. Brand exhaled deeply, relief coloring his features. "Liora, but she was already moving, the energy coursing through her demanding action. The task was not yet complete, and the burden of the glade's future weighed heavily upon her. Determined, Liora turned her attention back to the pool, the whispers now a guiding song that melded with her spirit. Restoring the balance would require more than banishing the darkness. It would need a sacrifice, a renewal. Together they would face whatever trials came next, their unity a beacon of light against the encroaching shadows. The fate of Elarian lay in their hands, and with each step towards destiny, Liora's resolve deepened, fortified by the magic she had only just begun to comprehend. Under the vast canopy of stars, Liora and Brand emerged from the ancient clearing, their path illuminated by the whispers that now resonated deeply within Liora. The forest, though still shrouded in mystery, seemed to breathe a little easier, as if acknowledging the first steps towards restoration. "We're getting closer," Liora murmured, feeling the pulse of the land align more closely with her own. Brand nodded, ever vigilant beside her. "We need to stay sharp. That thing might not have been the last of what's out there." Their resolve hardening, the duo trekked onward, now moving with a purpose born of wisdom shared through the leaves. The path had subtly shifted, each route a reflection of Leora's growing connection with the world around them. Stopping briefly at a break in the trees, they rested, the silence of the woods interspersed by distant nightbird calls. Liora leaned back against a moss-covered trunk, letting its quiet strength seep into her. "I never imagined the forest to be so alive," she said, a touch of awe lacing her voice. Brand grinned, his familiar warmth cutting through their solemn journey. "I've always thought it had a mind of its own," he replied, chuckling softly as the tension eased between them. Their laughter was interrupted by a sudden rustling nearby. Both jumped to their feet, senses honed by the challenges they had faced. "Who goes there?" Brand called, his voice commanding but guarded. From the underbrush a creature emerged, graceful and ethereal, its presence gentle and benevolent. It was one of the fabled woodland fae, their kind seldom seen. It regarded them with curious, intelligent eyes, a soft luminescence casting an aura around it. "The guardian of balance walks among us once more," the fae intoned melodiously, its voice a blend of wind and bells. "The woods remember, and in their memory they find peace." Liora inclined her head, her heart swelling with the acknowledgement of her role. "Peace is what we seek for all of Elarian," she said quietly. The fae nodded, stepping closer. "A choice awaits at the crossroads ahead," it said, its translucent wings fluttering with a gentle rhythm. "To seal the rift, one must embrace the heart of the glade, trusting in its whispers, or turn away, choosing a path of one's own making." "Haven't you already made your choice?" Brand interjected, his thoughts echoing the tumult in Leora's mind. "I think," Liora began, choosing her words carefully, "the true choice is understanding what my heart already knows." She looked down, uncertainty mingling with a steadfast determination. The fae watched them intently, then stepped aside, gesturing deeper into the woods. "Choose wisely, for every decision carries its own ripple through the current of time." With a nod of thanks, Liora and Brand continued their journey, the fae's words lingering in their minds. As they walked, new energy coursed through Liora, filling her with possibilities. The glade had taught her that balance was not a constant, but a delicate dance between forces. Understanding, not force, maintained harmony. Soon the forest thinned, revealing a path that gleamed under the starlight. Liora felt the whispers gathering strength within her, preparing her for what was to come. Her journey was far from over, and yet she felt no fear, only a serene clarity guided by the echoes of the glade. The momentous choice lay ahead, and with it, the potential to heal or harm. And as they continued on towards destiny's embrace, Liora knew that whatever the outcome, she would not be alone. The path unwound before them, each step echoing with the weight of impending choice. Liora and Brand moved in synchrony, the whispers of the glade intertwining with their thoughts, their voices indistinguishable from the rustling leaves. As dawn approached, painting the sky with strokes of purple and pink, they reached a wide-open space, the forest giving way to an expanse where the horizon seemed to blend into the sky. In the center stood a magnificent tree, unlike any they had seen, a towering sentinel of time, its branches reaching towards the heavens. "The heart of the glade," Liora breathed, awe in her voice. She felt a magnetic pull towards it, a feeling as if the entire universe had converged here in this moment. Brand, silent beside her, took in the sight with equal reverence. "This is where it all begins," he said, sensing the significance of the ancient tree. Leora's thoughts mirrored his, knowing somehow that this was the source and the answer to the mysteries laid before them. With hopeful steps, she approached the tree, the whispers rising to a glorious crescendo in her mind. "Welcome, guardian," came a voice, soft and mesmerizing from the very essence of the tree itself. "The choice you seek begins and ends here." "What is it I must do?" Liora asked, her voice steady yet filled with the vulnerability of the unknown. The tree shivered ever so slightly, its leaves shimmering like delicate strands of light. To restore the balance, you must become one with the glade, accepting its voice as your own, its heart as your guide. But know this, such a bond is eternal, and once forged, unbreakable. Liora hesitated, the gravity of the decision tumbling through her thoughts. Embracing the heart of the glade meant intertwining her fate with this land, becoming a vessel for its ancient power. Bran stepped forward, laying a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're not alone," he reminded her, his voice a comforting balm against the weight of uncertainty. Liora looked into his eyes, drawing strength from his unwavering belief. "Whatever happens, thank you for standing by me." Together, they turned back to the tree, Leora's resolve solidifying like steel forged in the fires of destiny. She reached out, placing her hand upon the tree's smooth bark, feeling the pulse of magic spread through her very being. For a brief, eternal moment, time seemed to still, and the whispers enveloped her, whispering truths, dreams, hopes, and fears. Liora embraced them all, allowing her essence to merge with the spirit of the glade. Colors danced across her vision, the boundless energy wrapping around her like a cocoon. Here, in the heart of the glade, she felt the understanding of 1,000 lifetimes, a connection binding her to every thread of life within Elarian. She was no longer merely Liora the herbalist. She was the melody of the glade itself, a voice that would echo through generations. In that moment, she knew her choice would bring healing, yet it would not be without sacrifice. As the enchantment settled into her soul, the glade shimmered with renewed vitality, the shadows receding from its sacred boundaries. The whispers softened, now a gentle song that promised new beginnings. "It is done," the tree murmured, its gratitude as palpable as the dawn breaking across the horizon. Liora opened her eyes, glancing at Brand, who smiled warmly, awe reflected in his gaze. The path they had trodden had changed them both, and the journey still loomed before them in all its splendor and challenge. Together they would face the world, spirits intertwined with the songs of the forest, and step forward into what destiny had prepared, hearts alight with the promise of unity and life eternal.